Okay, my last video, if you saw that video, which I'm sure most of you didn't, but what I did was I showed a older Stratocaster that had this wonderful look and patina to it that I said you could not really duplicate with a modern relic reissue. Okay, at least as far as I know, in my limited experience dealing with I have more experience dealing with old guitars than with new relics. But I did state that it is possible to get a relic that is really good. Gibson has them, and Tom Murphy is the man at Gibson who creates these things. They're expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to like getting the real thing like this is a reissue, Tom Murphy painted and aged. They do all this wonderful, weather checking and stuff, and there's all these little nicks and scratches and belt buckle rash and stuff. It's pretty remarkable how they do it, but that's not the reason to get one of these guitars. The look is, yeah, it's great, it's cool, it's pretty darn authentic when you think this guitar was made in 2018 and it looks 60 years old. But the thing that makes these things worthwhile is what they feel like, what they play like. It feels like a totally broken in instrument. It feels like an old instrument, but it doesn't have the problems of an old instrument. It doesn't have a backbowed neck or something like that, or worn out frets, or divots in the fingerboard. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. You get the performance of a new guitar with the look and particularly the feel and the sound of the real deal. It doesn't come cheap. These guitars like this one, I didn't pay retail for it because I got it used. I really lucked out. But I sold 6 guitars to get this guitar. That's how much I liked it. Somebody lent it to me, and I had it for over a year. And after playing it for a year, I went, this is the best Gibson guitar of any kind that I've ever played. And I played and owned lots of old guitars. I used to be one of those crazy collector, hoarder types. I still have a lot of guitars, but I don't have a lot of old guitars. I sold them to fund purchasing a house. Can't live in a guitar case. So there is that. But this one came along, and at the time it did, I was a person who had a Les Paul traditional, 2016, perfectly fine guitar. Really, really liked it. It was like $1,500 used. It was a great guitar, and I just really thought it was great. I thought, why would anybody spend a bunch of money on a reissue, like the custom shop guitars? I just thought it was just not worth it, $4,000 or $5,000 at the time. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And then this one came into my life as a loaner, and I started playing it, and I realized, oh, well, if it's like this, then it's worth the money. Because really, this is the best Gibson Les Paul I've ever played. I've only played one other one that was as good, and it was a real 1960, not a reissue, the real thing. A friend of mine had one. I had one too. I had a 1960, but mine wasn't as good, which is one of the reasons why I got rid of it. I had a real 59, I had a real 1960 back when they weren't, they were like under $10,000. And I played them. I played them for about 6-7 years, and then I got rid of them because, I really didn't like either one of them very much. So, just because a guitar is old doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's old, and if it's old, it might have problems. The ones I had them in the 80s, so they weren't that old, they were like, whatever, from 1959 to 1982, was that 23 years old? That's not that old, really. And so it's still in pretty good working shape, but I didn't bond with them like I did with this guitar. Just try and find a real one for sale, a 1960 Sunburst. Where? And for how much? Honestly, we're talking $300,000, $400,000. That's insane. That's ridiculous. So this thing, new at Wildwood Guitars for $11,000, I mean, $11,000 is a heck of a lot of money, but it's not $300,000 or $400,000. And you get something that, to me, I don't know, I've played some old Les Pauls. I've probably played close to 10 of them. And this is better than almost all of them, really. I've played 2 that I really thought were magical, and the rest of them were like, yeah, they're old, but are they like this mythical thing that's better than anything else? Well, no, including the 2 that I owned. I thought, you know, the necks are really huge. They don't, I'm not getting the sound I wanted out of them. You know, of course, most of that was me, but also, you know, this thing, I get any kind of sound out of it I want. You know, maybe I'm a better player now, but one thing for sure is though, is that Gibson and Tom Murphy have figured out how to make guitars that are very much like the old ones, but I think they're structurally maybe a little bit better. And also they're not as old, so they're not as worn out, you know, playing wise. I mean, they're kind of look worn out, but they're not, you know, it's still, you know, new wood, and new frets, and a nice flat fingerboard. And yeah, as long as you don't go for the hideously over relic ones, you know, like the ones that are like light or medium age is probably good. This is I would say is pretty much light to medium age. There's some funny stuff on it though. Like right here on the bridge, I don't know, you probably can't see it, but it's like beveled like as if somebody had worn with their hand and actually worn away metal. I mean, who does that? I mean, I've seen lots of old guitars and they're never worn this way. So they kind of got a little carried away with some of the aging, but still. And these things you can get, you know, real Sunburst Les Pauls. I mean, there's a finite amount of them, whereas these, they're still making them, you know. You can go to a real good guitar store and they might have a few of them hang up and you can try them before you buy them instead of like, okay, I'm spending $300 and some odd thousand for something on eBay or Reverb, and it's going to come to me, and then I have it, you know, and then, well, good or bad, you're stuck with it. Whereas one of these things, you know, you can go and try them out, you know, or buy it and it's new, you can return it if you don't like it. So this one, you know, I didn't buy it because, like back when I was collecting old guitars, you had one shot, you know, like, oh, I heard there's a 59 for sale. Okay, it's $7,000. I can go see it. You know, there isn't another one for sale anywhere that I knew of. And I went and I bought it because it was a 59 Les Paul. And I felt like I really needed to have it. And I had the money, and so I went out and I got it. You know, was it a guitar that I loved? Was it a guitar I made a lot of use of? Not really, not really. I mean, I played gigs with it and stuff, but I was kind of afraid to take it out. You know, what if it got knocked over and the headstock got broken, something like that? You know, so I sold it before before that happened. And so, yeah, what I'm saying is that, yeah, maybe the relic fenders are not that great, but these kind of, I don't know, scratch the itch. You know, they're really worth looking at. I haven't played any of the Murphy Lab ones. I've heard that some of them had some finish problems, but they fixed that. Finish problems kind of comical, you know, I mean, because they just beat the heck out of it. Like, oh, it's got finish problems. No, I mean, it's supposed to have like weathered finish, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little bit of noise with this. If you have headphones on, definitely turn them down because the guitar is a lot louder than my voice because I'm not using my microphone because my microphone is not working. So here we go. I'm going to start with the neck pickup. It's a really amazing sounding rhythm pickup. I mean, it's just, okay, let's go straight to the bridge pickup. Equally good, both of them together. It does everything a Gibson Les Paul should do. So, yeah, you know, you can be like me and the way I used to be and say that, oh, these reissues or these relics are like phony and bogus and not great. I don't know. I found a great one. You should look. Maybe you will find one too.